Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Libra for October 2016. Check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and if you're interested in having that vision of your future self that you would love to bring into creation, brought into the now, that is my department, and I can assist you with my Spiritual Warrior Weekend, which will be this November 5th and 6th in Sarasota, Florida, live, or you can join us by virtual live stream. So check it out. What's going on in October? We've got lots of things to talk about specifically for Libra, lots of general transits. This is a very important month in the scheme of the whole year, which I'll get into. But first I want to start out with some things specific for Libra placements. I promised last month that I would get into where this new movement of Jupiter is going for Libra placement, so I am going to get into that, but first I want to talk about birthdays. Happy birthday to the rest of you Libra Sun placements who didn't have your birthdays at the end of September. If you've listened to my videos before, then you know that, first of all, I love birthdays. Birthdays are a very magical time where the universe is exceedingly receptive to your desires. That is by design. The sun represents what you want. So when we read the different placements in a chart, that sun represents what lights your fire, your creative spirits, what makes you feel fulfilled. So when the sun in the sky gets back into the same place where it is where your chart, the placement is in your chart, then there's a portal that's open for your desires. Now, there is some semblance of this energy even for you ascendant, you Libra ascendants, the day that the sun crosses over your ascendant has magic and rebirth as well. But there's birthday wishes that you get to have on your birthday. And if you want to see more about how you make wishes come true using astrological power periods like this, check out my video called Making Wishes Come True. And you can search for that on my channel, Annie Botticelli, and I'll go into the wishes, how many wishes you have, how to phrase your wishes, and how to maximize this portal. So happy birthday. So next we're going to talk about Jupiter, and all the information I'm going to give you, you can also see a written version of a highlights plus some additional information that I'm giving you now in my Jupiter blog. If you go to anniehelpsyou.com and you click on blog and then you click on astrology and you do a search for Jupiter, you can find a written version of Jupiter in the different houses and signs. So early degree placements, so that's basically September born Libras up to maybe the first couple of days of October. And if you're watching for your ascendant 0 through around 9 degrees, you're going to start to feel the effects of Jupiter moving into the first house. The rest of you middle degree placements, you'll be feeling this get stronger in several months. Depending on your placement, it will be staggered how many months. And then you late degree placements, this won't start getting really strong for you until into next year. But the full transit of Jupiter through any certain place in your chart is about a year. So your year for early degree placements with movement through the first house starts now-ish, depending on what degree you're at. So I'll talk about Jupiter in the first, and what I'm about to describe is coming soon for the rest of you, so definitely still pay attention. And I will go into more energy about Jupiter moving through the 12th, because the rest of you middle and late degree placements are still going to have lots of opportunities from Jupiter moving through the 12th. So I want to make sure you capitalize on those. Jupiter, where Jupiter is in the charts this month, there are also lots of short-term energies. So we're kind of tracking Jupiter as a long-term transit, but there are also short-term transits in the same locations, making what I'm about to describe a short-term and long-term focus. Okay, so Jupiter in the first house basically wants to expand your self-esteem, your idea of yourself. It's like you multiplied. So if you see yourself as an accountant, then maybe Jupiter wants to come in and show the world that you're also a musician, or that there's something else in you that wants to come out that you are supposed to be known for, that maybe you see yourself as, or maybe the definition of yourself has to expand first, and then how you present that to the world expands. But it's basically your image, how you feel about yourself, what you are seeing yourself as. Jupiter is expanding that. And it's a really exciting time because you can just redo your whole image on any level at this point. That includes your appearance and your wardrobe and anything about your physical body through health and diet and all of those things. So Jupiter brings, when it moves to the first house, brings a very strong focus on self-care. There are always positive and negative potentials for placements. So Jupiter brings this potential, this latent, massive amount of potential for focusing on yourself, improving yourself. But some people will experience that energy, especially if it's manifesting unconsciously, as expanded energy towards self-indulgence. It could increase laziness or self-indulgence, and therefore it can also actually cause people to gain weight. Jupiter can expand your physical body size. Now, for people who are trying to gain muscle mass, this is awesome. You have a wonderful transit for trying to sculpt your body and add muscle mass. If you are underweight and you want to gain weight, this is amazing for that. If you are struggling with weight as an issue, it could bring the problems that are at the root of the weight issue into the forefront for you to work with. Sometimes Jupiter amplifies a problem in an effort to get it so much in your face, so unavoidable that you have to deal with it. So even though Jupiter tends to be benevolent and bring great outcomes, sometimes it kind of makes a little bit more of a mess first in order to force your attention to the issue. And most problems, most of the source of weight issues lie in the issue of self-esteem and self-talk and self-care. So there's this amazing potential for you to just redefine your body, redefine your image, redefine your diet, redefine your health. Let's see. Yes, okay, so that's the general story of Jupiter through the first house. So the early degree placements, you're going to start to see this now. The middle degree placements, you might be feeling this because sensitive people can often feel the energies that are coming, but you still have the focus along with the later degree placements. So it's basically the October born Libras, with the exception of the first couple of days of October, and about 10 to 29 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. You still have Jupiter moving through your 12th house, and you also have lots of short-term energy in your 12th house. So the 12th house is the magical house of the unconscious. So when you have short and long-term placements here, a story is being told for you to look into the deep recesses of your mind. This can be focused on through any psychology or psychological methods, focusing on your dreams. Sometimes dreams can become more vivid. You could start lucid dreaming or enhance lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is a really cool experience where you become aware that you're dreaming in your dream, and you can work things out in that way or remember important keys that your subconscious is trying to bring to your awareness. It can also bring waking dreams where you're walking around and all of a sudden you can't tell the difference between the waking and sleeping time. It's this, the energy of synchronicities. Synchronicities are often the first step when people are awakening into the truth that there are many, many, many more things to our lives and our worlds and our reality than we were taught or we believed were possible. And synchronicities tie together the realms and show that everything is connected. So often as people are waking up, part of that waking up process shows more synchronicities. Like you just happen to be at the place where someone does exactly what you were asking for as part of maybe your whatever you're working on for yourself. And you just happen to run into that one person who could help you. That's a synchronicity. And the more you focus on synchronicities, the more they happen. And the 12th house is the house of synchronicities. So for those of you already on your path, having a lot of energy in the 12th house can bring enhanced synchronicities. It's really just shows us that magic of the unseen realms is always available to us, and it's more available to us when we work with it consciously. So lots of cool things there to be played with and worked with. The 12th house is also the house of sleep. So it's actually like the sleep that you get at night. And if you're not sleeping well, there could be a reason for that. And it's important to find it because most of the things that people can have wrong with them are either caused by or amplified by not sleeping. Your sleep time is when you shake off all of the gunk from the day and from the past and from your life, when you heal and regenerate and renew. And if you're not going through a normal healing, regeneration, renewal cycle, then it's going to be very difficult for you to have optimum health. So for many of you, achieving your optimum health, which Jupiter in moving through the first wants to help you with, might involve having to sleep better. Do you know that they now have sleep studies that you can do with home sleep kits? If your doctor had suggested to you to get a sleep study, but the thought of sleeping in some random place just was crazy to you, or you have kids and you can't do it, there are tests that should be covered by many insurances that you can actually get the kit in the mail and send the results away, and see if you have sleeping issues. And many people have undiagnosed sleeping issues. So focus in this 12th house could bring that into the forefront. Anything dealing with past life regression or meditation or hypnosis or work with subliminals are all 12th house things that are open for your usage, even more so at this time. The other things in the 12th house include addictions and fears, which are generally related. So if you are struggling with an addiction, this period of time could expand the severity of the addiction. Again, Jupiter might expand things sometimes in order for it to be brought right up in front of you. And sometimes that issue with addictions can result in incarceration or institutionalizing. And sometimes that's actually literally, or sometimes that's energetically if you're like keeping away from everybody and you're keeping yourself in a silo because you're afraid to interact. It's like, it's the house, that 12th house is the house of imprisonment. And whether that's by the self or whether it's from something that seems to be outside of you, it's all related here. So you have an amazing opportunity to heal the cause of the issues, which is this fundamental human plague of believing that our happiness lies outside of us. Anytime we put our grounding point in something outside of ourselves, we're guaranteeing that we're going to have issues, because we live in an ever-changing experience where nothing is stable outside of us. So when we place our grounding cord outside of us, we lose our grounding cord all the time and are lost. So you have to place your grounding cord inside of you. There's an amazing book called Healing the Addictive Mind by Lee Jampolsky. And this works with the Course in Miracles, principles of the Course in Miracles, to remind you of the truth that your happiness comes from inside of you and is not determined by people, places, or things, or circumstances, or events. So addictions and also just general fears of death. The 12th house rules one of the places where death and life are the same. The 8th house is another house that goes into that, but the 12th is the place where we're all one. So talking to people who have passed on, communicating with things not in this realm, all of those things are things in the 12th house. So you have a great opportunity also to expand your intuition. This is the house of intuition. So rest, renewal, sabbatical, intuition expansion, all of these things, working behind the scenes, these are all great 12th house things for you to take advantage of in the short term and the long term as Jupiter is continuing to make its way through that house for you. So these are the things that are specific for Libra. There's a slew of very important general transits that I'm going to talk about that will help you understand how to best use the energy and also understand the challenges in October and the sweet spots in October. I'm calling the theme of October Intense Impetus for New Birth. So we know whenever we birth something, whether it's an actual child or whether it's a creative project or whether it's a new dimension of an experience, anything new often will come with birthing pains. And this month is full of opportunities to have birthing pains, or also described as the pressure that it either takes to step into a new experience, or the pressure it takes to birth something into the tangible dimension, into the this reality, the third dimension. So there are awesome opportunities for launches, for new things coming in. And actually, this is the first month in all of 2016, starting on October 7th and running through around December 2nd, the first few days in December, that we don't have a personal planet retrograde or a shadow interfering with a launch. There have been a couple of other launch phases that I've recommended this year, but neither of those two main phases were completely clear of retrogrades. But we do have to have some time before this time now in October where we were doing some things, launching new things. But this is the period of time now that it's wide open from the perspective of the personal planets being clear of retrograde. So this month is just like such a mixed bag because it has some beautiful aspects, actually even starting at the end of September. September 26th is the first one. I'll go into that. And straight through the end of the month, October 30th is my favorite day of the month for birthing, which I'll get more into that as well. But in between all of those openings for pushing things forth, moving things along, there is a lot of pressure and opposition, challenges. Sometimes it's the challenge, the opposite, that the thing opposing us that actually creates the intense impetus to do something different. And so we get comfortable in our lives and in circumstances, and sometimes it's easier to just let things be than it is to rock the boat in a way that you would have to be able to create a new life, to birth a project, to birth a new dimension of reality. So this month, it seems like it's completely astrologically designed to bring that pressure that's necessary for the new birth. So if you have brought something out at the end of September, or if you're preparing to launch something, just know you might have a little bit of touch and go before the energy is more clear. The energy gets more clear in November, or actually starting October 30th. So I'll give you some good dates that I really like for launching things. And know that if you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, that you get a more detailed review of the month ahead in writing, along with more dates and things that go on in those dates, and good dates and challenging dates, etc. So I'm giving you some summaries of some of the points here, but you can get more access to that a month ahead of time by signing up for my free newsletter. Okay, so October 1st, we have, well, actually, backtrack. September 26th is one of the most wonderful days of the year for expansion, growth, benevolence, luck. It just happens to be that we're kind of fresh off of Mercury going direct on September 22nd. So it's going to be a great launch date, but I'm putting some conditions in there. If you're launching something that is a relaunch, is a phase of something that is a short-term phase, is addressing something short-term, is like a leg of a journey or a piece of something, then September 26th is fabulous. If it's something that this is the unveiling, the first time someone is ever seeing it, you might want to wait until that October 30th date if you can help it, or at least into October, because you want that Mercury retrograde energy to be more clear when you're launching something for the first time or something long-term. Sometimes we fall under this misconception that you can't do anything in Mercury retrograde or shadow, and that's not true. You can do plenty of things, and you can check out my Mercury retrograde video to see more about that. But the things it mostly dictates is short-term ventures and legal contracts. That you want to avoid is long-term ventures and legal contracts, because the energies are murky and they're subject to change. So that's why I say if you've got something that's like a leg of a journey or something like that for a launch, then September 26th is amazing. Also, ultimately, you always have to trust your intuition and your own flow, because there are sometimes, very often, that personal transits in your personal chart will supersede things in the general transits, so that's a very important thing to note always when you're listening to astrological dates and forecasts. So September 26th is an amazing day. October 1st is another awesome day. Venus in Pisces is making a trine, which is the most favorable angle in astrology. to Neptune in Pisces, and that brings amazing healing and artistic, anything having to do with healing, the healing arts or artistic expression, and Venus, which rules love, beauty, and money. So that's a sweet angle. October 26th, we have Venus in Sag making a 60-degree angle to Jupiter in Libra. And a 60-degree angle is a favorable angle, but it's one that you often have to do something to activate its full glory. Sometimes trines will come and you can activate the energy as well, but sometimes they'll just bring blessings without you having to do much. But the 60-degree angle that we have on October 26th really wants some sort of action. So Venus combined with Jupiter is like love, beauty, money in a beautiful angle to expansion and growth and luck. So that's a sweet day. My favorite day of the month, and mark this with a big star on your calendar, is October 30th. We have a new moon at 18 degrees of Scorpio. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, and it also trines Neptune. So we've had a lot of new moons this year that have sort of been conflicted or afflicted with their energies because there were difficult angles going on at the same time. And you do have some challenging energy the days before the new moon, but by the time the new moon comes, most of that should be clear. So it's a really great launching pad for anything. You're free of the Mercury retrograde shadow at the beginning of the month. You're free of the challenging angles that dance throughout the month. And so it's just a really nice time. Okay, so there are more dates that I give in my newsletter that are good dates with some more details there too. So some dates that will likely come with growing or birthing pains or challenges are October 5th, the 15th and 16th, the 19th, and the 28th, 29th. And again, like I said, there are more challenging dates throughout the month of October, which you can see the full list when you sign up for my newsletter, but I don't have time to go into all of them. There are just so many. So October 5th, we have Mars in Capricorn squaring Jupiter in Libra. When these planets come together in this angle, it can often lead to overpromising or having overpromised something and not being able to deliver it, or some sort of overextension of action or will. It could also manifest as obstacles in the way of you trying to do something. Mars is action, and you know, when Jupiter is making a difficult angle, it's like you don't have the great expander on your side. It's being antagonistic. So you'll see some things come up there. October 15th and 16th, it's just like a powerhouse of challenge. I think that challenge can be a very, very, very positive thing. So the way I frame challenges, especially if you are being accountable for your own happiness, if you are taking responsibility for the quality of your experience, we can't control the things that will happen always, right? Very often it's completely out of our control, certain destined events. However, we can control the quality of our experience. And when we have challenges, it often causes us to activate that aspect of free will that we have in our charts and stand up for it and do something about it. And sometimes that takes pressure. So on October 15th and 16th, we have this is a yearly event. The Sun opposes Uranus. That makes a 180-degree angle, and it is a challenging angle. So things can come up that can be jostling, erratic people or inconsistencies interfering with something you're trying to do. Mercury is also squaring Pluto, so power figures, someone using their power not in a good way. That could be interfering with your personal expression. And October 16th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Aries, and this is a supermoon. This is the fourth supermoon of the year. We have 6 supermoons this year. A supermoon is when the moon is closer to the earth, and you can see it because the moon actually looks bigger. You ever look in the sky and say, whoa, the moon looks huge. It's like right there. That's a supermoon. And we're more affected by everything that the moon affects when there's a supermoon. The gravitational pull on the earth and its inhabitants are increased dramatically when the moon comes closer, especially when it comes into its fullness. So anything that would happen on a full moon will likely be magnified. So that could be lots of emotions, not only negative emotions, there could also be positive emotions. I've had many full moons where I was just brimming with joy, overflowing emotions that we're happy. So we're not going to assume that every full moon has to bring some negative drama, although it tends to, because I always use the example of a dog when it gets wet. I love dogs. And when they get wet, they shake, 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 right? And if water represents emotion here, and it does in general, it's like at the full moon, we shake, shake, shake off the excess emotions that we don't process or deal with throughout the month. So this supermoon is in Aries, and one possible challenging aspect of this could bring a health impetus to focus on your health. So could that come through crisis? Yes, maybe, some sort of incident with your health or symptoms or something that maybe they were in the backdrop and then they just got up right in your face. Something like that. Something having to do with yourself, your self-esteem. A very positive aspect that could manifest with a full moon in Aries is amazing recognition and being thrown out into the limelight with it being all about you. Something coming to fruition, something coming to manifestation involving you and what you're doing and what your image is. And, so many people will be cast out in the limelight in this supermoon time. It's really important to note that these transits, even though I give you the dates of them, we can often feel them days before. And the bigger transits, we can feel them weeks or months before sometimes. But the transits that are present this month, you could feel them before, within days before, or within days afterwards. I tend to feel things early. So most of the time when there's a challenging transit, before it comes, it's all right in front of me. And then by the time it actually comes, it's past already. The tension is past. Kind of like when you're, when a race car driver is going around a track. And when it gets to the point, if you've ever done like go-karts or anything, then you're like excited to go forward, and then you have to slow down because there's that turn and it's awkward, and then you can zoom for the straight track. So that's similar, I liken it to that. So there's a lot of antagonistic energy at this time, but there's also a lot of chance for fruition, and there's a lot of pressure that's building that can facilitate your birthing of new things. The next transit that can be challenging is Mars and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn, and this occurs on October 19th. So when you have Mars, the god of war, and Pluto, the god of the underworld that rules birth, death, transformation, rebirth, atomic energy, get together, all of those traits will likely be magnified. Now, people can use that for good. People can have their ambitions soar during this transit and get thrown into a position, again, of recognition. There's a theme of this. But there could also be negative energy that brews to the point of verbal or even physical violence. People will be on edge, and angers and tensions may run high. So just be really careful around this time. Don't push anything, if there's a situation that could be sketchy, and just breathe. October 28th and 29th, Mars, again, is in an aspect with a planet that it doesn't work well with when it's in a square. So Mars square Uranus, especially in Aries, which is like this fiery catapult of energy, and Aries rules Mars. So there's again, this combination of this very forceful, assertive energy. So just be really careful with your actions and other people's actions. And, if things like, I went to the library the other day and I saw 2 security guards going up, like one called the other one, and I was like, that doesn't look like a good situation. I think I'm going to get out of this situation. Like that, just kind of be looking around for things that don't look right or feel right, and distance yourself from them, and don't purposely put yourself in any situations that could be like that if you can help it. So those are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for October. Again, definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. I have a new blog on there for making powerful wishes for the new moon in Scorpio, specific for Scorpio wishes. You can advance your wishing power when you align the new moon wishes with the subject the subjects of the sign that the new moon is in. So you can read more about that on my blog. And while you're there, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get more details the month ahead about the upcoming transits, often some additional details than I give in the horoscopes. While you're there, if you are looking to expand your monetary earning potential or magnetic potential, check out my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So you can click on my programs and check out my other programs in my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So I hope that you have a wonderful month of October. If you want to become a spiritual warrior, then you can check out my Spiritual Warrior Weekends. I'm having a live and virtual option for that experience in November. So you can see more of that on my website. Hope you have a wonderful month. See you soon. Bye.